welcome back, everybody, to the Derby City Fandom podcast. Today, we are going to be talking about one of the more entertaining films that come out of Marvel, and it's a great little love letter to Marvel films of old, Deadpool and Wolverine.
What a fun watch.
It was such a good watch. But before that, I'm going to do an old segment called This Surprised No One. Acolyte Season 2, not happening anymore.
Ha! Got canceled.
Got canceled.
Oh, no.
As much as we kind of ragged on it, it deserved an opportunity to improve, and it's not going to get it.
To redeem itself.
Yeah.
I agree with that. It does.
Disagree.
Whoa. Okay.
I mean, here's my 2 cents since we're talking about it. I'm sure they're going to do something. Like, they're not going to stop making Star Wars. They'll just have to revamp. Like, they'll go
Well,
back to
that
the drawing board.
storyline is effectively dead. Star
Maybe.
Wars itself is not. It's just that particular angle is currently dead in the water.
Maybe. I feel like they could probably still do stuff with it, but it's like they just won't call it the Acolyte, and they'll have to change some characters up. I don't know. I'm optimistic about the future of Star Wars, and I don't think it's completely dead for like that era and all that of what they're going with. It's just going to be different, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah,
I wonder
agree.
if they'll go as far as like removing it from Disney Plus.
I mean, they've already edited episode 3 for the lightsaber bit.
Yeah, what I talked
Imagine
about
them
the
going
last
back to
episode.
re-edit it back in.
Yeah.
I'm
Anyway,
on
Lord.
team Kathleen Kennedy has to go. So until that happens, I don't know.
Okay,
Same old, same old.
but
I mean, there's
that all being said,
there's
I'm on team South Park.
there's whatchamacallit's being signed to bring it back.
Oh,
petitions.
Petitions, that's the word I was looking for. Yeah.
well, to each their own, I guess.
Yes, but on the more pleasant side of things,
Deadpool.
Deadpool and Wolverine, man, the opening sequence is so good. Also, apparently, canonically, Deadpool in this film can break adamantium with his bare hands, which is absurd to think about.
Yes.
But,
Yeah.
like, murdering an entire squad of TVA goons to NSYNC on the beat. Violence is such a great opening for this kind of movie.
I don't know if it probably is. I don't know if it's because of the movie, but like you see now on like Reels and YouTube Shorts and all of that song being played and people choreograph
Which one?
dance.
The NSYNC song or
Bye,
the
Bye,
Madonna?
Bye.
Yeah,
Madonna.
No. Well, actually,
Probably a little
That's
bit
my
of both.
new
of both.
favorite song. My new favorite song is Madonna. So I was like, I've been jamming to that the past couple weeks.
It's just so we're clear, that's an old song. So
I
it's not
know.
really a new song.
I know. It's new to me.
It's like that was
know.
well before
I mean,
our
NSYNC's
childhood.
old too. I don't.
Well, I know.
We were,
I know.
but we
it's
were alive for that song. That Madonna song's ancient by comparison.
by comparison for sure. I just think it's funny, and like you all said, I definitely enjoyed it too. But we can go into further discussion about that
Sure.
now.
Yes. Now we start also with some ratings. Now I did look up that the first 2 films are pretty well in the same ballpark from where they kind of initially reviewed at. The first one being like an 8.0 on IMDb.
That's way
Second-
too low.
the
What's
second-
wrong with you people?
the
That's
second
way too
film-
low. You guys not disagree for the first one, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the films that I could rewatch. I mean, I don't like watch it over and over and over, but like every 6 months, every 12 months, I'm bored. I would throw that one on for like a fun laugh.
Sure.
8.0 is way too low.
But
I mean, it's not a 10.
okay,
but
with your logic, if it was a 9 or 10, you would be able to rewatch it over and over and over again, not every 6 months. Therefore, it would
but
be
there's
in
not
the
many.
6 to 8
There's not many
range.
movies that I do that. I don't know. Am I wrong, Colin? Like, would you rewatch something that's shit over and over? No, you probably go back to your classic ones that you really enjoy, that brings you some type of joy or nostalgia.
I don't know, man.
And that has to be higher than 80%.
I'm a bit masochistic. If something's crap and it's still like entertaining to watch, like if its quality is bad, I'll watch it again.
Yeah, I'm kind of in
mean,
the same boat with Kenny. Like, if
Not
something
me.
is bad, I'll rewatch it, but every now and again, like 6 months or so. But if something is that good, I'll probably rewatch it multiple times a year. You know, like for me, Lord of the Rings, I've easily watched that 20 times this year.
And you wouldn't rank it as 80, would you?
I would rake in probably 9.5, maybe a 10.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If it's
Deadpool
so good,
1 was not 9.5 or a 10. I'm sorry.
and it's not an 80. So
Yes.
we'll settle in the middle. 80 is too low.
Right.
9.5 is too high.
So to follow that up with the second film, ranks around 7.2.
I think that's too low too. I mean, I think the first one's better.
Right.
I mean, what do you disagree, Kenny? I don't know.
The first one's, I would say that the first one's better almost because they were given so little budget and had so little faith given to them by Disney that they just blew it out of the water with what they were able to produce with how little they had. That then when Disney started to like, okay, you guys like, you know, made money like hand over fist at this point, basically, with it, we'll give you more budget for like, you know, more actor cameos, better effects, all of this and that, get you know, more expensive things into film. But then Ryan Reynolds is just like, no, that kind of ruins the vibe a little bit. It's the creativity that comes out of like, you know, we can only do so many takes because we're not given the budget to stay here on site for too long.
Exactly. So that brings us to number 3.
Number 3.
Which, according to Rotten Tomatoes, was a 78%. IMDb has it at 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
So the first one and the third one being exactly the same or in the same ballpark.
I would put the first one as the best. The third one's a close second, and the second one.
So 1, 3, 2.
Yep. 1, 3, 2.
I would agree with that.
I think I'm in agreement as well.
Yeah, for sure.
And I give people on the little bit lower score for the third one because the bar is pretty low now. Like they've thrown some crap at us, so like this was a breath of fresh air just to have something that didn't suck.
Right.
So I give them that credit, but still, I just think it's a little too low. Like we'll go into it. I thought it was a good movie.
Oh yeah.
Oh, for sure. Definitely. Great opening sequence. I couldn't agree more with the... I feel like it was more of a throwback to the first one since the first one had a little... Well, actually, that's not true. The first one was a car wreck on the expressway there, and that wasn't really a dance per se, but there's definitely violence.
Right.
And so in this third one opening sequence, there was definitely violence and a dance, but I don't know. I feel like there was more violent in the first one than the third one.
You know what it reminds me of?
Go ahead.
It's that opening like dance segment that Peter Quill has in that first
Guardians of the Galaxy. He's an
where
idiot.
he's just like enjoying himself, like,
I don't
listening to the music, jamming. Like
I don't think anything.
it's not
beats that
Ryan
intro.
Reynolds doing like the dancing segments. Like that's like an actual like professional dancer. Like that's on record. But it's just the fun kind of goofy gag that's like, okay, Deadpool is like, you know, breaking the fourth wall, like dancing for the camera to the song, doing all of the actual moves in the suit, and it's great. It has that same sort of like, you know, fun, chaotic energy of Peter Quill, just, you know, kicking just random alien rats to, you know, come and get your love.
Nothing beats that one for me. I think Peter Quill still takes the cake here. I
So
love that
in a later film, are we going to see Don Cheadle in the background saying to a different character, he's an idiot?
Probably.
If that happens, I might just actually get up and walk out.
I don't know. I think that would be hilarious. I feel like that'd be like a little Easter egg, kind of.
Yeah.
A little bit. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
It was a fun movie. All right, let's go into more depth on the
Yes.
film.
Time for plot.
Kenny, lead us the way.
All right. So, at this point in time, we do have the dance sequence and the TVA, but there's other stuff that flashes back. We see Wade throwing a birthday party, or, you know, being a part of a birthday party with all of his friends that, you know, he kind of casually brought back to life through time travel shenanigans with Cable's device from the second film that he kind of kept and stole, for the lack of a better word. And so all of the X-Force gang and a handful of other people are around to celebrate, and they have like a nice little fun moment of him interacting with all the other characters from the other films, right?
Yep.
Then as soon as he blows out the candle, there's a knock on the door, and lo and behold,
Who is it?
the TVA and a very, very pompous British man.
Mm-hmm.
So we're introduced to Paradox, and he's given a chance to become the hero that he thinks that he was always meant to be, to belong, so to speak. And basically, he is tasked with finding an anchor point, an anchor individual, which we learn is somebody that stabilizes a particular time stream, a time branch, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
And for our particular universe, that happens to be Logan. Not Wolverine, but Logan from the movie Logan. So that brings us with a couple of problems. A, he's dead, so the timeline is dying now.
Yep.
And because Deadpool can break the fourth wall, he's aware of who Wolverine is, that he's basically just like him, has super regeneration. There's no reason why he should be dead. So he goes and digs up the grave. Lo and behold, there's just an adamantium skeleton there.
So he's actually dead.
So he's actually dead. And he's just like, fuck. And then
but he takes him out of the grave and just, has a casual conversation
with him, and then takes him apart bit by bit, using every piece and bone. Like, he makes a point. Like, they kind of play with the idea. It's like, oh, there's, only so many bones in the human body. And you see him literally take Logan apart, bone by bone, and murder an entire group of people with adamantium bones. And it's great.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, that poses a problem. Now he has to go find a Logan, a Wolverine, to take the place of the one that's dead.
Right.
And the kind of comedy that ensues.
Whereas the first one is, it's like the actual true depiction of Wolverine, right?
Well,
smaller stature.
I think that's isn't that supposed to be a joke? Because isn't Hugh Jackman actually kind of short?
I think in the comics, Wolverine's kind of short.
Yeah, he's like 5'6", 5'7", or something. He's like, it's weird because in terms of like Marvel, like power scaling, Wolverine is like an average strength guy. Like, he's like ranked number 1 or something. Because he's, his powers aren't super strength. It's like, regeneration, and him with the claws, with all that adamantium that he can basically force out of himself. So because of that, we see a lot of fun and different depictions of Wolverine, as you were saying, Jake, throughout the different comic book lines throughout time. So we do get short Wolverine.
It was fun to watch.
We get
I don't know all the names.
I'm going to blank on the names. Cowboy. I can put a list right here, make me work for.
My favorite one was that they show up in the timeline and he's on the cross. Everyone's dead.
Yeah, that's. I don't know if that's supposed to be.
And Deadpool's like, "You okay?" He's just up there moaning.
Yeah,
but he's standing on a bunch of skulls.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the Genosha incident or if that's
okay?
What particular incident that is referring to. But we get like the gambler one, which is him in the white suit. That's a classic costume. Mm-hmm. We have a particular Wolverine that is just there because it's a cameo for Henry Cavill to be a
Calverine.
Yeah, Calverine. Yeah. He's one of them.
Well, what does he say? We'll treat you better than the guys down the road.
Right.
I guess it's a reference to Superman, right?
Possibly.
That's how I took it. I don't know, unless that was referring to Netflix.
Who knows?
You know?
But we eventually settle on Hugh Jackman's like proper one that we see throughout the film.
Getting drunk at a bar.
Getting drunk at the bar, basically trying to drown his guilt, which we will go into later. So, Colin, from there, I think I've done enough talking.
I want to jump to the part where he's sitting down with Happy or John Favreau.
Oh, jump back to that? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I've asked some people about this particular scene and how they felt about John Favreau being in it or Happy and
Happy Hogan.
Yeah, and how he's kind of just doing the interview per se for the Avengers and doing it for Stark, and I'm just like, dude, I was honestly happy to see him in the film because I for one like Happy. I think he's a little bit of the comedic relief, if you will, and I enjoy John Favreau as a human, so I actually kind of enjoyed that scene a lot. What about you all?
I think it plays well into his character that, yes, he is effectively just an elevated butler. Because he was like the chauffeur for Tony Stark.
Head of security.
Head of security now.
Come on.
To his credit, he is head of security now.
May or may not be. Well, I guess he was dating Aunt May for a little while.
Possibly.
I digress.
Yes. But it's interesting that he's the entry-level interviewer for the Avengers. The fact that there's even like an interview process is stupid as all hell, but it makes for a good like plot point. It kind of just further increases the insecurities that Deadpool kind of suffers from.
Yeah, it was fun to watch. I like the scene. I didn't think too much about it, but yeah, it was good. It was fun to watch.
Yeah,
I like Happy.
It was definitely a moment where it's like, they make a point to like zoom into like the different parts of like, oh hey, the original shield is over there. Oh hey, there's Tony Stark's heart. Why that's right there, I don't understand. But maybe it's a replica. Because, just casually having an arc reactor just sitting on your desk can't be healthy.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine, I'm sure. I'm sure it's fine. But yeah, we I guess to go off of that, we see him try to sell cars, and it's never going to work. His Merc with a mouth problems of not knowing the correct things to say, I guess, or maybe he does say the correct things. Who knows? He's talking without the filter, even to like a family of 4 trying to buy a like Honda Odyssey.
I mean, I think the beginning works. Like, I didn't go see this movie for the plot, right?
No, you don't. You definitely do not.
So it was good. I think they did a good job with building it up, like showing, hey, Wade Wilson, he's struggling, he's going through some depression or trying to find himself, and he's in and out of this relationship and yada yada. So I think they did a good job setting up, and I appreciate that they didn't dwell too much on it, because obviously everyone's there, they want to see the TVA and Wolverine. Yeah. But it was nice that it was an underlying part of it all.
Decent and I don't know, believable motivations for a character that's basically larger than life.
Yeah, and that's how I took it too. It's like that's not the reason I was there, but they did a good job with the writing and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So let's jump to the part where Paradox ends up pruning Wade and
pruning both of them
into the void.
Is that after he was dealing with the what do they call him? His dresser or whatever. The Predator.
Oh, yeah. The tailor.
The tailor.
Yeah.
That sequence where he's just constantly getting slapped on the ass and, getting his
it's
crotch
like pretty
grabbed.
sure. I guess he calls it Taylor. I'm pretty sure Taylor's a predator.
Which, oh gosh. Needless to say, I don't know how you would be
I
able
love
to
the
go into
one-line
this
stuff.
film without knowing this, but this is definitely a rated R film.
I love the one-line stuff, man.
Well, that's what Deadpool is supposed to be. He's the one-liner.
It's just
He
so
does
clever.
the one-lines better than Spider-Man.
Oh,
Like, that's why the two get along together in the comics, because they're constantly shit-talking everybody else.
It's just so clever. I felt bad for the people I was watching in the theater with because I was laughing so loud. Yeah. Anyways.
All right.
Where are we at?
So
The pruning.
yeah,
Pruning,
they end up
yes.
getting
To the
pruning,
void.
and
To the void.
then I guess they have a little fight sequence. Logan and Wade, right?
Yep. And then they
end up, long story short, kind of jumping a little bit ahead, they end up running into Johnny Storm.
right, but because it's
Well, all right. Let's talk about this.
They run into Chris, right, and
Let's talk about
Deadpool is
it.
just like, oh yeah, Captain America.
I had the same thought when I saw Chris Evans. I was like, "Fuck yes, they're bringing back Captain America." And I know a lot of people disagree on that, but like, I'm an old guard fan. I want to see Chris Evans back. I want to see Robert Downey Jr. back. I'm an old guard kind of guy. So when I saw him, I was like, yes. And we all know, and even Deadpool mentions it. He's like, oh, yeah, you're really joining at a low point. But when I saw him, I was like, I was stoked. And I was just as confused as Deadpool. So they got me. They got me.
Yep,
I
that
did not
was
see that one
his-
coming whatsoever.
That
I thought it was
was
Captain
his
America for sure.
Original costume, his original role. Chris Evans being the Human Torch in that first Fantastic Four film all those years ago.
And there was another little funny scene is when he like goes up in his flame. I don't know. The antagonist shows up. The bad guy shows up, and Deadpool gets so excited. Oh, he's gonna say. I don't know the exact words. He's like, he's gonna say. So he turns around, like hits the little sword sticking out of Wolverine. So, and Wolverine just goes out.
Yeah, I like
And then
how
what does he yell? Flame on!
Flame on.
Yeah,
Yep.
Deadpool's like, what the?
right. So at this point, it becomes clear that this movie is a love letter to the Sony Marvel verse,
Pretty much.
because like, okay, the Human Torch is here, and then they bring in Pyro from this X2.
You say
X-Men 2.
Sony? I assumed it was all Fox, but I don't know the
Sony
mergers
Fox,
and acquisitions.
kind of same
of it all.
difference.
All right.
But we are introduced to all of these old guard characters, like the oldest guard of characters for Marvel at this point. We get like Reynolds pulled a hell of a lot of strings to get most of like the original X-Men cast to like reprise their roles.
Yeah.
It's like you got the guy that, like, he even got like the random guy that was the Blob to come back and portray the Blob. You got the original guy that was Pyro. You got the original guy that was Toad, I think. Was it just Toad, right?
Yeah. It's good to see them all. It's good to see
Hell,
'em.
even the Juggernaut, same guy. from
No.
back in the day, wasn't it?
Nope.
Isn't it?
Nope. It's a
It's
different
the
guy.
one from the second film, right?
From the X-Men 2, no. The
No, from the Deadpool 2, right? Or was it the...
no,
That's a different one.
no, it's
I will say
different.
that,
Not
but-
the same one at all from the X-Men 2 movie. It's that British guy. He plays in a lot of gangster movies and other shit.
Yeah, that's Tyler Main. Not Tyler Main.
It's Sabretooth.
No, it's Sabretooth.
Sabretooth is in there for sure. That's the same guy, but Juggernaut is a different actor.
Yeah, I'm blanking on it.
Anywho.
Anywho.
It doesn't matter.
Correct us in the comments.
Yep. Name here. There we go.
There he is. Aaron W. Reed.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a big dude.
Yeah, big old boy. Anyways, we're introduced to a character that
A twin.
Yeah, the twin
Of
to
Charles
Charles
Xavier.
Xavier.
What's her
Cassandra Nova.
Cassandra Nova
Nova.
Xavier,
There you
or
go.
just Cassandra Nova. Now, she's not terribly well known if you're not familiar with the X-Men comics, but good lord, she's a genocidal maniac.
Yeah, I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
like how she fucks with people.
Oh yeah, that's accurate. By
brains.
the
Well,
way,
we're
That's
missing
a little
one
weird.
key. We're missing one key component here is when they end up getting captured by her little gang or whatever, and you see Chris Evans not talk shit, but talk shit. But I guess we find that in the post-credit scene. But he ends up, saying that he was talking shit about her to Cassandra Nova, and he's like, "What? I don't know what
He's
you're
like,
talking
"I never
about.
said that."
I never said any of that." And so we're all kind of led to believe, like, yeah, no, this is totally Deadpool saying all this shit, and he just wants to fuck
best
with
part is,
him, I
like,
guess.
The best part is, like, I took it as Deadpool didn't know, like, he was doing anything wrong. He was just chatting. He's like, yeah, and he
Well,
was saying this and that. And then all of
it's
a
like he has
sudden,
No,
no
yeah,
reason
100%.
to know what Cassandra is capable of.
yeah.
So-
The Wolverine's like, you just killed that dude.
Yes,
No,
that's what
he-
she ends up
I think
doing
at
is
the
she
end-
like demonstrates her powers and basically just removes his fucking flesh.
And Deadpool Wolverine like,
Yeah.
just
Wolverine goes, what is
Collapses to the
he?
ground.
He
It's
goes,
just like-
we don't know that, guys.
Right. I think he also makes a joke that Chris Evans was too expensive, so they gave him a short part. Like, there's a lot of jokes like that where it's just like, if we kept him here any longer, we were going to go over budget kind of stuff.
Oh, the references of all this film. Oh, my gosh.
Oh yeah, there's a lot. So then she ends up. So moving on. So Cassandra basically kind of, in a way, explains why she's in a void and how she has this agreement, I guess, with the TVA,
Mhm.
right? And-
Yeah, we'll call it an agreement. It's more like, we can't find a way to deal with you, so we're going to send you here. So, you know, do your best to work with Eliath to, keep things relatively in order. Because as we find out, you can realistically just kind of come and go so long as you have, like, the actual means to.
Right. And so we see Eliath in the background, and we haven't seen Eliath since, what, season 2 of Loki?
No, season 1, episode
Season
5, they make a joke about it.
I stand corrected. Same difference, whatever.
Which is funny. Also, I'm kind of sad we didn't get to see Loki now that he's had like all of his interactions with like basically building the timeline tree.
Pretty much.
But
But Logan,
we'll get
Logan
to
and
that a
Wade,
little
it's
later. I got some
Logan and
comments
Wade
regarding-
escape before Eliath can
do his thing and
consume them, And so,
I don't remember. How did they get away? It's in a minute. Right?
so they find a Sentinel foot.
yeah,
A foot from one of the Sentinel robots from one of the newer X-Men films. Not First Class, but the second one.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
was that Days of Future Past? Or
Yes, that one. Thank you.
Yeah.
So they basically hop onto one of those and they just like repeatedly like kick it, or Wolverine like does something. He punches the thing and the thruster activates and they fly off. They're able to escape.
Yes, and then we get to meet a very nice pool.
I love this whole scene. The upcoming scene
Who gives
is like
them
the road
basically? He gives them a car to make their way to
Honda Odyssey.
trip, the minivan.
the Void's Borderlands.
Yes. We're also introduced to Dogpool in that particular instance too.
Yeah.
Which is this. It's a good dog.
It's
But
an ug-
good
it's a-
lord, it's
It's
an
an
ugly dog.
ugly fucking dog.
Right, which kind of plays into like Deadpool isn't supposed to be like a looker himself with the super cancer he has,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so that's part of that as well. But then we have Nice Pool, which is like moisturized Fabio hair, just Ryan Reynolds without a mask on.
Yeah, and so that was a very, very fun car ride.
Oh yeah, it goes
so
well
funny.
for like the first couple of hours, and then naturally, because the two can't stand each other, they end up doing their best to murder each other.
Yeah.
Which at
He
this point,
basically-
I wonder why they even bother trying, because they know they can't kill each other.
Which is the greatest thing to watch, right? So everyone knows how this is going to end.
All they
They're all
do
going to
is-
be perfectly fine. And the entire time I was sitting there, I was like, like, how are they going to pull this off? Right? But it's just, the whole thing's just comedic, right? They're stuck in this minivan. They're
They
just
beat the shit out of each other and the van.
And then they got like fun jabs in there, like where he's hitting his head against the radio. Then
And
you
it
hear
changes stations.
it changes the tunes of the Hugh Jackman Greatest Showman.
Oh,
song.
yeah,
Did you pick up on that?
Yeah, some of those were
hilarious.
playing too.
They just beat the living shit out of each other. And then it's just like has the perfect ending. Like the next day was the perfect ending of it all, where it's just the show's Deadpool just all tied up in the seatbelt.
Yeah. But then we're introduced to even more
Of a throwback?
of the throwbacks. The more of the original Sony/Fox Marvel like first.
Dude, I was pumped when
Like
Blade
oh,
walked
like
out.
Elektra even.
Yeah.
Hell.
We get Electro, we get Blade,
When
we
Blade
get
walked out, I was like, all right.
Gambit, and that was it, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that, dude, I was kind of surprised to see Channing Tatum play.
Yeah, I didn't realize there was more to that. Like that whole, I guess there's some backstory behind that joke that he was supposed to be I guess he wanted to be part of the MCU for a long time, but he never could like work his way in. And for a while they were gonna do that character and just kind of fell through.
Yeah.
But I think there's like more to that story.
There
that
might
joke,
be. I
but-
know that Gambit has gotten really popular here recently because X-Men 97. He plays a really big role towards the end of the series. And a lot of people were on Team Gambit for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So, also, Gambit is supposed to be this, like, stupidly suave guy with an accent, and, you know, Channing Tatum fits that bill.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't understand the accent. I'm glad Ryan Reynolds made a crack at it. Because I was like, what are you supposed to be? Was he supposed to be French or Southern? I don't know. I was like confused. And I was like, what? Whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyways, so they opt to come up with a plan, right?
To team up.
To team up, but it's hard to get Logan to comply with the idea. But then walks in Laura.
Oh, yeah.
Like X-23 shows up from
The Logan.
the Logan universe,
Yeah.
which I guess is Deadpool's like home timeline.
Yeah.
And it's implied that, you know, Blade and Elektra are from the same original timeline as Deadpool.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about Gambit. He makes a comment saying it's like, I feels like I was born here.
Yeah.
So it's just like, okay, man. Sure.
Whatever.
But we then get a nice little heart-to-heart with Laura and Hugh.
Yeah, when they're at the fire and
When they're at the fire. So
about how he claims that he's killed a lot of people, but then she's like, well, actually, you saved a lot of
like, you
kids.
saved more than you killed.
Yeah, and so that was kind of, like you said, a little bit of a heart-to-heart, and so they end up getting together, and they drive all the way back to their little refuge or whatever, which was a larger Ant-Man.
Yeah, it was Ant-Man's skeleton, which is funny because when they originally get taken there as prisoners, he makes the joke, it's like, oh, Paul Rudd's finally aged. Because for a while, Paul Rudd was like the oldest actor in this.
He still looks the same.
He still
I don't know
looks
how
the
he
same
does
after
it.
like 20 years.
I don't
man.
get
It's
it.
absurd. His
Yeah.
genetics are like phenomenal.
I don't
Anyways,
understand.
they make a joke at that, and you know, it just adds to like, you know, the fun, like, you know, fandom, I guess. The fandom one-liners that are just like, yeah.
So they drive all the way up to old Paul Rudd,
Yep.
and everybody gets out of the car, and we're thinking that Logan's not gonna, or Wolverine's not gonna get out, but he ends up coming out of the trunk, right?
Yeah, he's just in the trunk.
Yeah.
And they play it off like it's some big like reveal, but then it's just like there's no way in hell that the people in the car wouldn't notice he's there because it's the same like bloody beat up Honda Odyssey they had to fight in earlier.
Yeah, pretty much. So wait, so I guess Wade, Logan, and the others go to confront Nova, right?
Oh,
We're
yeah.
at that point, and Logan is mentally incapacitated with the Juggernaut's helmet. Is that am I reaching?
No, so that's
Kind of jumping ahead, aren't
you're
I?
jumping ahead a little bit. So what's happening is they come up with the idea that since Magneto's helmet is like the only like actual helmet that was able to like really stop psychic powers, naturally Cassandra killed as many Magnetos that came in and melted all those helmets down so that nothing could really like stop her.
Right.
But then they come up with the idea that okay, the next best helmet is Juggernaut's.
Yep.
Which is true. That's how it works in the comics. So, thumbs up. Nice little nod that they actually recognize that. So they get to fighting, and basically the others recognize that the only people that can really stop Nova is Wolverine and Deadpool. So the party basically splits, and the main gang, I guess, goes off to deal with Nova, and then all the others are beating the crap out of all the others Fox characters.
Yeah.
Which, we get the fun line from Wesley. It's just like, these motherfuckers are trying to skate up ice, skate uphill.
Yeah, pretty
wow,
much.
that was a butcher. Anyways, it was just like, yeah, he said the line moment.
So what? Then I guess they end up getting to Nova, right? And
They get up to Nova, and immediately she knocks Wade unconscious for a moment
yeah,
by throwing him all over the place, and then she begins to get inside Wolverine's head.
right.
Because we find out that unlike her brother who can do it mentally, she has to physically do it.
That's
which
weird,
leads,
man.
Which leads to the body horror that she's capable of.
It was weird to watch too. I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
I wonder how they did that. Obviously, they used CGI and that kind of stuff, but like, wonder if there are any like practical effects.
I mean, you could realistically do it. You would just need to like green screen, like chroma key, like a prosthetic thumb kind of thing.
It's interesting. Yeah, so she's kind of in the dream state or whatever with him, and he's hearing all the voices, and she's like, I can stop the voices, right? And then it gets real
like,
quiet
join
all
me,
of a
stop
sudden.
we can set things.
And then you just
right.
you just hear her say, I got you. But then he kind of turns towards her and is like, no, actually, I got you.
Yeah.
That's when everything just snaps back into
back to reality.
In a way, in the void, right?
Yeah.
What happens next? I don't remember.
Well, we see that the fighting outside had culminated in Laura X-23 killing Juggernaut, getting the helmet off, and chucking it up to the main platform.
That's right.
From there, we see Deadpool regain consciousness, get the helmet, and chucks it onto Cassandra.
Yeah.
And puts her in a headlock.
Yep.
So that's where he's able to break out, because one of the weird things with Cassandra's like little mind probing that she does, you're also aware of what's going on outside of it. But Cassandra in this particular instance was so like absorbed and like trying to like seduce and like corrupt Wolverine that she's not paying attention to Deadpool. Yeah. So he's able to get the upper hand.
Right. Now, at what point did she end up using one of the rings? Doctor Strange.
So at that point, we see Pyro, betray her.
Yeah.
Shoots her a couple times, and they come up with the idea that's like, okay, the only way that we can return to where we're from is with her help. And because of that, we see her basically say it's like, oh, a while back we had this weird little wizard guy come through, and naturally I killed him and wore his skin for a while, which is a power she has.
Naturally, of course.
And because she's psychic, she knows how to do the magic, and she does. And we see.
Why does she, I don't remember. Why does she help him again?
Because that was like the half deal that they made, and she becomes aware that there is a time ripper.
Yeah.
Oh.
The other underlying plot that we haven't mentioned is that Paradox is, overtly evil himself, trying to, destroy reality. Because he didn't like, the new management of the TVA.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right here, yeah. The Time Ripper device Paradox developed to mercy kill timelessness, in which he plans to use on Wade's timeline without permission from his superior, which she ends up coming along later on in the movie. But anyway, yeah. So that was kind of cool. It honestly, when they get to that point where Logan and Wade are trying to figure out, oh, I'm gonna go in there. No, I'm gonna go in there. You remember that part?
Yes, but before then we have all the variant Deadpool show up.
Oh yeah. I'm jumping ahead again.
Let's not jump ahead. Like, one of the better scenes of the film is them
for sure
murdering all of the variants.
Yeah.
Well, all the variants murder Nice Pool first.
Yes, which
and
is
you see Ryan Reynolds, or you see Deadpool. He's like, "When do you regenerate? He's like, regenerate?"
He just coughs up more blood and
He's
dies.
trying to
No,
save
his
him.
head blows up. That's right. His
Yeah,
head is blown off.
Trying to save his body, and he says something. It's like, "Oh, he did." Wolverine goes, "He didn't die. You murdered him."
But then they're going back and forth between like a wall, a building, and like whatever they're behind, and using Nice
like a
Pool as
donut
a
stand.
as a human shield.
Right. And then all Ryan Reynolds needs to do is hold Dog Pool, and he just calmly walks across.
Nobody does anything.
Yeah, nobody does anything. And then basically the I would call it a massacre, but nobody actually dies because they're all Deadpool. The only one that died was Nice Pool. But we see them just go through this batch of different Deadpools, which we see a lot of like the more famous variants of them, like, Lady Deathstrike. We see Headpool / Zombie Deadpool.
Yep.
Voiced by Nathan Fillion, the voice actor that does most of the animated Deadpool and the video game.
Baby Pool's my favorite, man.
Baby Pool was there.
Walks out of that portal, just throws his bottle down.
Yeah. But we see like a good handful of the different variants, and
I was confused, but they showed the Deadpool wearing the Welsh jersey. I was like,
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't understand. But then like later on, I read something. It's like, oh, that's because Ryan Reynolds owns that soccer team in
he
Wales.
does.
I was like,
yeah, that's it. That's the team
oh.
jersey.
I was like, oh, okay.
But yeah, but we see them just go on a murder spree, or like a supposed murder spree. The bus sequence was hilarious.
Oh, for sure.
And then it's just like, okay, so what do we do now? And they turn around, and then you just see all of the Deadpools just do like they're disjointed, like regenerating back to like normal state, whatever their normal state happens to be. And it's just like, oh, this might be a lot more difficult if they also can't die. But yeah, then
Peter Pool
then Peter shows
saves
up.
the day.
Yep.
And everybody's just like, yeah,
That's
Peter.
Peter. Wait, you guys know Peter?
It's like every Deadpool has a Peter.
Oh,
So it was one of those moments, and that distracts them enough to go down into the subway where they're doing the TVA nonsense with the Time Ripper, and Paradox tells them, I guess, the bad news / the good news. Like, okay, we can't stop this, but to do so, one of you will die permanently. Like, there is no out healing this, which I would disagree because in the comics they've done that before and they've come back, both of them. So that that's a fandom like I have too much knowledge gripe, but it's just like okay, movie has to movie. I'll let that one pass.
I tell you what, man, this is one of the better endings out of all the MCU films that stands out to me.
Yeah,
And it's just that song, like the whole thing. I know it's a little cheesy. Like I get it. And they do like they show off Hugh Jackson's abs and all that. Like I get it.
and it's just like yes, finally.
But man, I was sitting there like I was just entrenched in the whole thing. I was like, this is awesome. And I think it's just they picked the best song for it. And that's why I really liked it. I don't know. Do you disagree, Colin? You just kind of look at me.
No, I'm just listening.
we haven't talked about it a whole lot.
I was just watching that ending scene. I was like, this is really good. I don't know. It was phenomenal. Just everything about it was kind of emotional, but it was exciting. And it was like, I really, it was very, like it was borderline motivational. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know how to
like
describe
both
it.
characters basically redeem themselves and wanting to sacrifice themselves. But then it's just like, okay.
They had like this bond. I don't know. It was so cool.
It's what, well, as they put it earlier, it's like God's greatest joke is that neither of them can kill each other. Which is a fantastic line. I want to use that in the future. It's just like God's greatest joke is because of blank. But so they basically share the burden of mixing antimatter and matter together to short circuit the machine, and naturally that feedback loop hits Cassandra and she can't handle it whatsoever.
Nope.
And she explodes into a lot of parts.
So when they are together and they're, essentially holding hands.
Yep.
And when you see all that branching out stuff,
Mhm.
did that remind you all about Loki when he's taking over and doing all that shit with the timeline and being the one in control of all that? When
Yep.
you see all the branches growing back and shit, that's what I saw when I watched that scene. For sure.
Grabbing the threads of reality.
Right.
Literally by the hand.
Yeah, so that was actually really cool to watch. But, we're under the impression that Deadpool dies.
Well, that both of them would
Well,
have.
both of them die. Right. But then...
And then, we see them walk out, and it's this whole thing. It's just like, okay, Paradox, time for you to be arrested.
Yeah, by
Yeah,
Hunter, B something rather, B-15.
B-15?
Yep. She arrests Paradox.
Yeah.
And the others are returned to their respective timelines.
Yeah. Peter shows up in the Deadpool suit, and Hunter B-15 is just like, damn, you look good in that suit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did.
He did. He's rocking it.
What do you do after you save the world, Kenny? You go eat chimichangas. That's what you do.
Go eat chimichangas on the street with your best boy. And he's just like, will we ever meet again? And naturally, Hugh is just like, probably not. Just throws the garbage on the ground, like straight litters, and just walks off screen.
But he can't because he's going to do it till he's 90.
Yeah.
So he's going to return, y'all. He's going to return.
Yeah.
He's going to retire. Nope. No, he's not.
Well,
Yeah.
that was some of the... Okay, now that we're done with the plot, we can kind of branch out. That was kind of some of the initial worries, is that, okay, how do we, make Logan stay, a meaningful endpoint for, Hugh Jackman's character of Wolverine? And they make a joke about that, in the first couple minutes as well. It's just like, oh, we need to respect the legacy that Logan's, presented with the MCU. And then immediately his grave gets desecrated.
Yeah.
That was also something that, prior to the film coming out, they were interviewed about that. It's like, what are we going to do about Logan? Because, Kevin Feige had been like, we're not messing with where Logan left things. And Ryan Reynolds had said the same thing, tongue in cheek, because he knew exactly what was about to happen, which is fantastic. I love that.
Oh, we forgot what kind of one little thing is Wade and Vanessa kind of like reconcile. A little
Yeah, they
bit.
reconcile.
Yeah, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, then we get to the post-credit scene. I want to talk about the post-credit scene.
Yeah. This is going to be mostly you all because I had to leave the theater.
Yeah, he literally
Duty
just saw
called.
the movie a couple hours ago for the first time.
Lies and slander.
Oh, what? Oh, my God.
Anyways,
This movie has
Kenny.
been out for a couple weeks now, and I saw it like,
Ugh.
a week and a half after it being out. You probably, what did you see it like opening weekend or some shit?
Yeah.
Anyway.
yeah.
You must have to, unless you want to deal with spoilers. You must have to.
I mean, I actually did a pretty good job not getting spoiled. The one thing I missed out on is not getting a cursed popcorn bucket.
Yeah. So we end up finding out in the post-credit scene that
Deadpool wasn't lying.
Deadpool wasn't lying,
Johnny
and
Storm is still
he full on
Johnny.
Yeah.
improvised. There was no script. He pretty much just improvised all of that because that was what he agreed to do. Is he wanted to improvise all that stuff, saying that about Nova,
Mm-hmm.
and he killed it. I thought it was freaking great. It was freaking fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, I'll say it's not really a gripe. It's not really a disappointment. It was more of like I assumed wrong. So going into the film, I was under the expectation after watching the trailer, they leaned heavily into the TVA,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I was kind of looking forward to a fresh start, if I can call it that. So we all know, like,
Another fresh start for the TVA.
no, no, like bigger than that, like for the MCU altogether. So like even Ryan Reynolds makes cracks at it. It's like, oh man, these timelines are getting confusing. You're at a low point. You're coming in on a low point. Like he makes jokes about it. Like, and the entire audience is thinking it, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking it. Probably most people are thinking it. Like, where are they going to go with this? Like, what's next? So I'm still left to think like, what is next? I mean, they kind of lean heavily into the anchor aspect of it all, but I was a little bit let down. And I know people are probably going to disagree with me on this, but going into, as I mentioned, the trailer leaned heavily on the TVA, and I was just thinking, it's like, oh man, they're going to press a button. Like Deadpool's just going to be stupid and press a button and just like reset everything. And they can kind of go back and do whatever they want. But it seems like they didn't take that out. And it may be a good thing. I don't know. It'd be to be determined.
Yeah, it's a bit early. What I think is going to end up happening is that whatever comes out next is going to have a very hard time trying to follow this up because this just did so well. I think timeline wise, I think they are still going to work in Doom and the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, Dark
I
Doom's
think
definitely
that the
coming.
new Blade got canceled, didn't it? Because they were remaking Blade with a new actor.
I think it's been put on hold.
Been put on hold. Okay.
I don't think it was officially canceled.
Because that was the impression I had because they make a joke about it. And Wade just like stares at the camera. It's just like.
Yeah, even Wesley Snipes makes a joke about it.
Yeah.
I'll be the only one.
It's like, I'm the only Blade. And good moments.
I think we're definitely going to see more a Gambit because there's that one scene where they're in the void and Gambit just finished killing somebody and you see him turning. You can see in his eyes the ring or the fire rings from the whatever the fuck that's called, the sling ring.
Sorcerer Supreme stuff.
Right. But I don't think I don't remember them showing him actually going through, but I think he's going to come back into, the reality part, and we're going to see more of him. But I don't.
That was part of the deal that he tried to make with B-15, that, some of my buddies that helped me get here are, stuck in the void, and, I don't want them to be forgotten.
Right.
So that was implying like, oh hey, I want like Laura to come back. I want Channing Tatum, the Gambit, to come back. I want Elektra. I want Blade. I want I want the old guard back into the universe.
So that's what that was. I couldn't remember. All right, cool. Yeah, but I'm kind of with you all a little bit. Touch base. I'm curious about where this is all going to lead. If it's going to lead into Fantastic Four, is this going to lead to the Avengers film or anything like that? And we're going to see Doctor Doom. Obviously, we have Robert Downey Jr. now being cast as Doctor Doom. So that's like, in one hand, exciting, but the other, like, you hear people talking all kinds of mad shit. I'm just like, do you see multiple actors play different characters in the same universe? I mean, Ryan Reynolds, for one.
I'm keeping an open mind about it. If we can talk about Robert Downey Jr., like I'm keeping an open mind about it because I don't know how they're going to portray him, like what they're going to do with him.
He doesn't take scripts that are bad. Like he doesn't take bad gigs anymore.
No, like,
he's made too much money.
I think he'll be good, but as I mentioned at the start of this episode, I'm an Old Guard fan. So if they're bringing him back just to kind of like bring up some hype, it's like I'm kind of old school. Like I'm Old Guard fans. Like they should just brought him back as Iron Man, and they still might. Like you never know. Like you don't know how they're gonna write him in, but
No, I kind of agree with Kenny. Like you're sitting down at a table reading, you're looking over the script. Robert Downey Jr. is an intelligent person. He's not just gonna get into another project just for shits and gigs and to save face or make money, whatever the reason you want to come up with there. He saw the potential that is in this particular script with Doctor Doom. Mm-hmm. So if he has faith in where this could potentially go and he trusts the people that are directing this film or films or whatever, I believe in the guy, and I think it'll be an interesting project, and I look forward to it. But at the same time, we are on a podcast, and we are going to give our honest opinions when that comes out. But I'm going to be optimistic, and I look forward to it.
I mean, basically, like, wholesale, they're using Doom to fill the void that was left because Kang turned out the way it did. Mostly due to the actor getting in legal troubles. But...
yeah, we won't go into that.
That's its own thing.
Yeah.
That bit is not appropriate for the podcast, but...
I mean, it is.
Kind of, sort of. Anyways.
Closing thoughts?
Yeah, if you're looking for a good time, go watch this film.
Yeah, it's definitely it's a fan service film.
It's a fan service
It's fun watch. It's comedic. I don't know, it's Deadpool.
Like, if you grew up watching, like, the early 2000s Marvel, whether it was owned by Fox or by whomever, it calls back to all of them.
It's pretty Fox heavy, for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely nostalgic for me seeing a lot of the characters that were in that. Going as far back as Elektra, I watched that. Going back as far as Wesley Snipes and Blade and all the shit. Yeah,
and it's like hell. They brought in like a good handful of the X-Men cast from back in the day. Like all of these people that have worked with Ryan or Hugh before basically came back for this film.
Yeah, a small amount of them, but actually a large amount.
A small amount. It's like half the cast.
Yeah, whatever. Same difference. Anyway. Yeah, so as far as scoring goes, I would give it an 8 for sure. I agree with that. Would I give it a 9? No, but probably like an 8.2. And then I'll probably give the first film probably like an 8.1, maybe 8.2. I don't know. It's in that range. But I would say it's 1, 3, 2 is the order for best to worst.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, agree. 1, 3, 2 for sure. I don't know, mid-8s. It's hard to determine because the bar is pretty low right now. But I had a hell of a time. I thought it was fun. I think it was a great movie. I can see myself rewatching it.
Yeah.
So
movie was great. The music they paired it with made sense for the character.
Yeah.
Which is honestly one of the more difficult things to do with a person like Deadpool that is aware of everything because that's his character trait of being able to break the fourth wall. He's aware that, Hugh Jackman was the greatest showman. He's aware that
or nice
NSYNC was
the proposal,
right, and all of that. Like, he's aware of everything. Like, that's his gimmick, and to pull that off well is difficult to do because you need to make it kind of like goofy, which is
exactly what they pulled off.
Which is what they pulled off. In terms of my rankings, yes, I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's 3-1-2, mostly because the first two are tied for me. First film, third film are tied. Both of them are fantastic, and I love them. They're at the same kind of point. So it's like
fair enough.
First place, third place, I guess.
Sure.
Fair enough.
One of those.
Very nostalgic. Well, Jake, where can people find us?
YouTube, Instagram,
Facebook.
There's podcasts wherever you get your podcasts. Are we on Facebook? We might be on
Yep,
Facebook.
we're on Facebook for sure. But Spotify, Amazon, you name it, you can find us there.
Oh, yeah. And next time you guys hear from us, we'll be doing our first impressions on the Rings of Power.
Woohoo!
Not to date the episode anymore, we already have, but I believe that comes out tomorrow, literally.
Wow.
To
date the episode. Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks,
we
everybody.
enjoyed you. Thank you so much.
Yep. Have a good one.